Okay, welcome back. This is a drawing of a screen I'm going to make. A lot of people ask me what type of plans I typically do, and this is about as detailed as I get. I have some critical dimensions. That's the dimension of one screen with the idea of several pieces making up one panel, and the plan to possibly cut 3 or maybe 4. I'm going to do 3. Makes it a little simpler. So I'm going to cut 3 1/4-inch thick panels at a time, and 6 of those panels will make up one of those screens. So I'm going to need to cut 24 individual 1/4-inch thick panels. Doing 3 at a time makes it 8 cutting paths, each one taking about an hour. And you just saw the file that I'm going to cut. The artwork was provided by my friend, and these I had cut roughly to size, but once I did a tighter analysis I realized I needed to trim them. So what I'm doing here is preparing all the boards, cutting them on the table saw, and I glue them together using 3M77 spray glue. I actually have been using that same exact glue for a very long time. I know the nuances of how to trust it and how not to trust it and how to use it and how not to use it. And it's become a big help in a lot of stuff like this in the shop. So those are all now glued together until I need to pull them apart. And you see, this is my CNC machine. I made that long wedge. That's my clamp, because I need to make 8 of these, and they need to be in the machine for about an hour each. And I'm just starting my very first cut. And I had each one of those hollow spots turned completely to dust. I could have carved out just the outside, but then I run the risk of those little tiny pieces flying around. So I had that completely cut out. So it's all turned to dust and went into the vacuum. And you can see a close-up look. This is my first cut, so I'm just checking it, making sure that it's in good shape. Now I'm pulling out my very first panel, all excited that it didn't have any problems. There's a little bit of a paper thin thing in the back there, but I shimmed that up later with actual paper. And I'm cutting my second one, and I pulled apart my first one just to inspect it closer, and it's looking good. A lot of people ask me how long these projects take, and this took literally about 9 hours to cut all of these panels, and here I'm pulling them apart. So ultimately, between cutting these panels and preparing and painting and building the frames and installing, it's about 3 days worth of work. So you see me now, I have to piece together 6 of these to make up one panel. And you see now I've put tape on the back as a hinge, open it up, put glue in the joint, and let it close flat against the table. Now those are the 3 panels getting ready to be glued together to make one panel. I'm just trimming the joints, sort of joining them, and then by putting tape on the table, I do not run the risk of gluing it to the table. The tape has sort of a wax on it, so it peels off. While the glue dries, I go back and I cut more stuff. And there's my shim, so I don't get that paper thin cut in the back like you see there. So I throw 1 or 2 pieces of paper. Sometimes your cutting board isn't totally flat, and it's off by the thickness of a piece of paper. You know, your sacrificial board. Now here I am just preparing the panels and sanding them. And there's various states of glue up. I glue 2 together, then I glue 4 together, then I glue 6 together. And that right there is 1 full panel glued up. And looking good. And now here again, you see just various stages of the glue up. And I try to let the glue seep out so I could sand it off. And now I have all 4 panels glued together, and now I'm trimming the sides. And there's David Waelder. Say hello, Dave. And I'm just trimming the sides to make sure that they're nice, clean, and even. So even though I cut them as square as I possibly could, gluing them together, you suddenly find out that not everything is exactly the same size. But after it's glued together, by trimming it, now they all are. And now this is going to be what is going to become my frame for each one of them. This is poplar, 3/4-inch poplar. And I'm rough cutting them. I'm always cutting more than I need. And in this case, you'll see that I trim back to exactly where I need. These are 1.5 inches wide. And I'm just cutting them all on the table saw here. Passing a lot to cut. each one of those frames is 30 by 65, and they have to be wrapped in this piece of wood to give it some stability. And now I'm putting what's called the dado in there, and I'm going to just do it by cutting one side, flipping it around, and cutting the other side. And that gives me exactly what I need for the width. You can see my featherboard there and my hold down. It's just my screw clamp and just a piece of scrap wood clamped to the tabletop. And now it seems to be the right size, so I'm going to pass all the wood through. I cut it one way, flip it, and cut it the other way. Now I'm preparing all the long sides and all the short sides. The short sides will be cut next, meaning the top and bottom of each frame. And then you just see a wide shot of my activity. You can see my featherboard there. It's really just a feather point that just pushes the stock against the fence. That's all you need right at the blade. So I have one piece of scrap pushing into the other piece of scrap, sort of spring loaded in the right direction. And now I have my stop there. I usually trim off the edge that was just laying against the floor. So trim, cut, and now I have 8 of those and 8 long sides. And I have a little bit of a snug fit on that MDF. And I'm making this joint, it's simple for me because I could put a screw into a full piece of wood. If I tried to make a 45-degree joint there, it would be not a very strong joint. What I'm doing here, I have the advantage of having screws directly into the wood, not at an angle, and I could get a good square glue joint. And then I'm going to add another piece to it later, which will give it some more stability as well. And then I run everything long so I can then just hand cut off right there. The whole while maintaining every step the same for each one of the 4 panels so that they all come out exactly the same. Just tapping it in. Like I said, it was a bit of a snug fit, and I wanted that. I don't show it on camera, but I eventually put nails to keep the side rails snug against the frames. I put a couple of air nails up along the edge directly through the frames into the MDF so that they don't pull out. That's just a different angle of the same take. Again, just putting the frames on the wood. You see I have 3 done. I'm in the process of the 3rd. And now Dave comes back and we are getting the saw marks off of the outside edge of the frame. And Dave takes one side, I take the other. And this is a cool plane that my friend brought me back from Germany. And just experimenting with it. The funny thing was is he brought it back and I thought it was so interesting and novel. And Dave had the same exact one that his uncle had given him many, many years before. Maybe 30, 40 years old. And here we are, we're just working and working and working. By sharing the task like this, we got so much done faster than if I was doing it alone. We just focus on what we need to do, and then in a few minutes it's done. And those little planes are perfect for the job. We kept being proud of the ribbons we were making. And just a little 3-in-1 wood filler, or plastic wood, to cover the screw heads. That's one of my favorite wood fillers because it dries quickly because it has acetone in it. And if it's completely dried, you could add acetone to it and bring it back to life in the can. Now this is that other filler piece I was talking about that's going to overlap that joint. This is just a little sexy detail because just the square frames alone were a little boring. So this kind of brings a little bit of oriental look to it. I mean, this is me just making up a design. There really is no cultural influence, although it does look Japanese a little bit. Just make sure I have a good flat area there. Sand off that plastic wood. And there you go, there's my detail. And again, that adds just a little bit more strength to the joint on each corner. Palm sanding everything. And I put a little tiny cove router there just to give it a little bit more detail. It's just like a half round cut into it. And I climb cut it, and then I do one clean pass in the right direction. There's pipes on the wall. For this panel, it's going to be closest to the brick wall, which is the exterior wall, and I know that there's conduit running on the wall. And because I took good measurements, I had to cut out the area for the conduit. This I'm just using Benjamin Moore eggshell. It's like an off-white, it's kind of like a gray. Just mixing it with water till it's like the consistency of like a thick milk, and it comes right out of the gun with low pressure really nicely. Don't get a lot of overspray. If you mix it thick, it kind of stays settled in the area there. You don't have a big cloud. And again, just showing the transformation from non-painted to painted. And once that dries, I'll give it a light sanding and give it another coat. And now for the hardware, which I have to make because it doesn't exist. And that's a roller wheel, which is going to go on the outside of each door. And then these are the brackets which are going to suspend the panel in the air, because one panel on each side is going to be attached to the wall, and that's going to go right underneath where the hinge area is for the door that moves. It'll become clear in a minute. TIG welding with my Lincoln TIG welder. Those wheels did not come in that configuration. I had to cut the holes off that were on the opposite sides and weld on this little tab so that I had wheels in the direction I needed. And this is going to be the brace which gets screwed to that one panel that's fixed. So I screwed those. I welded the washers to one side and drilled the holes in the other. Just painting everything and putting the hinges in. I'm just preparing as much as I can off site so that when I'm on site I don't have to waste too much time. This is going to be installed in an apartment. And that little piece of wood maintains this spread between the two panels and gives me a stop so I know where to put my hinge. Again, maintaining that gap between the two panels so everything's even. And now the way these will attach to the wall is I put this brace in it so it's screwed into the end frame, and then those overlapping screws are going to screw into the wall, those overlapping screw holes. And there's my wheel that's going to slip on the floor again. And here we are in the apartment. And you can see where that conduit goes right through the side of the panel there on the bottom right. Just dry fitting, make sure everything is right. And there's that brace that I was talking about, or clip, making sure everything's level. And that's the other side. Now I ran a string to make sure that I'm straight across. And I stood back to make sure it was parallel with the whole wall. And there's that brace again with the washer screwed to one end and a hole drilled in the other. It's just a little crutch or a brace, and it gives that panel tremendous stability. And you can see the whole configuration here. The one is screwed to the wall and the other one will open and close like barn door. And this is the other side into a brick wall, and I'm just using tap cons. And I drilled it with a big hole, so I had to throw a bamboo stick in there that gives the screw some ability to grab. And you can see what's going on here. The brace was screwed on the other side as well. And this is my panel. My friend needed to keep her office separate from the rest of the apartment while she rented through Airbnb. And that's what the purpose of this was. Closed and open. We haven't figured out a lock yet, but that'll come in time. There you can see that detail. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and learned something.